There's a rise in rumors stating a Smash Bros. Sequel is on the way. One cannot help but wonder if there will be another flood of Smash clones to follow. During Smash Ultimate's release, there were talks of a Disney equivalent, which begs the question, who would be invited to Disney TUSSLE? It would be ludicrous to imagine anybody else being the Mario equivalent or first character for Disney TUSSLE. Mickey Mouse is an obvious pick for the main and first character on this roster. Now, what his moveset would be, I actually have a few ideas. For starters, you could totally just judge his character and abilities off of any one or multiple projects that he's been in over the last century, from Steamboat Willie all the way to the Mickey Mouse cartoons that were on Disney Channel for a while and are now on Disney Plus. You could also just use his Kingdom Hearts variant as the main character, although I doubt they would want to bleed too heavy into another video game, but that would be who the first pick would be. Moving on, Minnie Mouse has gained a lot of popularity, specifically on Twitter or X, most notably for her music renditions on TikTok and various other media outlets. She is back on the scene with her own television show, which I think is primarily on Disney Plus now. But Minnie Mouse could also incorporate many things from her history and projects that she's been in. With that, she would also have a variety of dresses and alternate skins. Minnie Mouse has to be paired with her man. Now we're gonna move on to the eras of Disney.
Uh-oh! The Magic 7!
This isn't technically a 2-in-1 fighter, since Timothy the Mouse typically likes to hang on to the hat of Dumbo, and he's so tiny you would barely even notice it. Aside from Dumbo and Timothy, I went ahead and put one of the 7 dwarves, who I imagined would be most aggressive. I almost went with Dopey and kind of imagined him having a whimsical, twirling, don't mean to hurt you kind of hitbox situation, though it's not hard to imagine Grumpy being the most aggressive. For the Silver Age, I went with Peter Pan. Peter Pan would have a dagger, obviously. He would lift off the ground just a little bit to move around. And I think he has a very good range of abilities for a combat set. And I think he's just an overall memorable character. How could you not have Peter Pan in a Disney fighting game, right? Maleficent has crazy powers, and we need villains in this roster or else somebody will complain. But I do love the idea of her having an ultimate move where she transforms into her dragon form and just causes a lot of craziness, a la Bowser turning into Giga Bowser. Some shape or form, Maleficent would be a heavy hitter. For the Renaissance era, let's start off with Ariel. Ariel, of course, would not be in her human form due to popularity reasons, of course. She would kind of have that Kingdom Hearts 3 water effect on her so that she's hydrated and she's able to splash around on the battlefield into non-existent pools of water that kind of just spawn where she spawns. I imagine her even possibly having King Triton's Triton, which she does steal in the movie, but is also utilized in another mobile game. I also chose Genie from Aladdin. It was a little difficult deciding whether I wanted Aladdin, Genie, or Jasmine, and I opted in for Genie just because his moveset would be insane. Genie has to be in a Disney game, kind of like Peter Pan. I personally love Mulan, and she could totally have Mushu with her to cast like fire abilities, but I needed Mulan in this set, in this roster.
Feel the heat.
Instead of choosing Hercules or Megara or anybody else from Hercules' movie, I chose Hades. Hades is another villain, just like Maleficent, where they needed to be on this roster or else somebody would have said something. I'm sure James Woods would reprise his role. He's been very cool about doing Kingdom Hearts voice lines and all that stuff, so Hades having multiple fire abilities and a cooldown ability, or his ult would just be him fired up. I don't know. I'm kind of drawing all of my ideas from fighting him in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, so there's a lot to work with.
Are there any aminos in here?
Moving on to the 2000s era, I went ahead and chose Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, or Experiment 626. If not Mickey Mouse, Stitch or Pooh Bear would be like the top contenders for who the face of Disney is. There are a lot of options. Of course, everybody wants to choose Treasure Planet. or Chicken Little even, believe it or not. But I love The Emperor's New Groove and the TV show The Emperor's New School. But there's nobody I love more than Eartha Kitt. I don't think anybody could top Eartha Kitt, but I think she would have a really cool moveset as well, whether it's drinking potions or throwing potions. Yzma was just such a fun, energetic villain, and she's also another villain, you know? We need more villains in this game. The 2010 era, I think everybody agrees that Frozen has to be in this game. It could have been Olaf, it could have been Anna, but we needed Elsa to have a slot in this game. Kind of branching off into new territory, Star Wars. Yep, the mouse owns Star Wars. It's insane how many characters I wanted in this. I loved the Clone Wars era. I loved the original sequels. Well, it's kind of confusing if you're not a Star Wars fan, but the original movies and then the prequels and then now the sequels. There's a lot of good content. You got Darth Maul, you got Ahsoka Tano, you have Jar Jar Binks. You know, you have all these characters that could totally be in this roster, but for the two that I chose, let's start off with Luke Skywalker. I'm going with episode 4 through 6 Luke Skywalker. We have seen him lately, so he's a familiar face within the franchise still. How could you forget him? And spoiler alert to anybody who's never seen a Star Wars, the original movies at least, we're going with his dad.
I will deal with this one myself.
Darth Vader is another villain that I wanted on this list, and I think he's a perfect spot for the Star Wars slots and the base roster for this game. Darth Vader is a menace. He just showed up in the Darth Maul series, and he was just like space Jason Voorhees, terrifying. His force abilities and Luke's force abilities, they would be very like multifaceted in that they could attack in two different ways, whether it's a lightsaber or force choking somebody or force pulling somebody. It's just really cool. There's just multiple ways that you can use the force, and I think it's super cool. So those are my top picks for Star Wars' 2 slots, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Now, Marvel was another one of those difficult franchises that Disney owns where you cannot just pick 2 and call it a day. Somebody's going to say, hey, why didn't you include this person? Those are my faves. She's a very popular character. There's a lot to go off of from comics, video games, and the TV show and the movies. There's just a lot to work with. I didn't want Iron Man and Captain America taking up these slots. So I think, and I know this next character, has a lot of, who owns it? Is it Sony or is it Marvel? You know, who solely owns it? I think they could throw all that aside and ring in the money, especially with what they're doing now with PlayStation with these games. But Spider-Man is my next pick. Disney owns Fox, and as much as I wanted Sid the Sloth or anybody from the X-Men franchise, like the movie franchises, I think it would be unjust if we didn't include Fox's sci-fi side of things. So I'm going to include Ellen Ripley. Ellen Ripley is that girl. She can totally hold her own. She could totally even be in the mech suit if she needed to be, but I don't think she needs to be. It could be her ult, honestly. Her inside that mech suit from Aliens, she could totally have that as an ult. I think that'd be super cool now that I think about it, but I love Ellen Ripley. I immediately bought her skin on Fortnite when she released, and I think it would just be really cool. Eventually, we would get a Xenomorph character slot, but that's for another time. The Predator, or the Yautja. It could be any one of them from the original movie, anything in between. Or even Prey, you know, that it could also be just the Yautja in general, and we can get skins later, but we need a Yautja. We need the Predator in this game. Bringing it back to Disney's roots, I went ahead and included a Disney Channel little spot, a little corner. I think it would be really cool to have another human character or a live action situation here, and I included Alex Russo from the Wizards of Waverly Place television show. I think she could have a number of her spells from the TV show, and they could even make up some new ones too. Bringing it back to Disney Channel animation side, American Dragon Jake Long. I love this show. It would be really cool to have him on the roster, transforming from human to dragon. That wouldn't be his ult. He would definitely use his dragon form to attack. Maybe his human form would incorporate his skateboard or something. And finally, it's surprising because there's so many options, but Pixar. Disney owns Pixar. Disney and Pixar, hand in hand. Sister company, now one huge conglomerate. Pixar, I chose Buzz Lightyear. I chose Buzz Lightyear, and I'm talking about the toy version, though he would be a little scaled up, kind of like how Fortnite did it. But Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, and you could utilize anybody or any form of him. You could use the TV show. That was a good show. You could use obviously Toy Story, where he has his fake laser, but in this sense, just like in Kingdom Hearts 3, his laser's real. His laser's gonna zap you and it's gonna hurt you. Or his wingspan, I think it's just a really good pick. And as much as I wanted more Pixar characters, I think him or Woody or Jessie would have been good choices for the Pixar center. And that's about my picks for this roster. I would love to do a DLC, run through eventually, but this is what I had in my head and I wanted to put it to pen and paper and I wanted to just put it out there. That's me rambling. Let me know what you think about my roster. Everybody, cross your fingers and hope that we'll get this game eventually.